Commission meeting to order. My name is Kelly Rosecrans. I'm chairman. We'd like to welcome all the public viewers as well. We'll just have a round the table introduction beginning with the mayor.
Mayor Zach Fruink.
Derek Johnson.
Greg Hemp, Alderman.
Mary Wolosik, staff.
Jim Shuchuk. Matt Heidemann.
Dawn DeSorces.
Joe Bakken, Wisconsin Rapid City Times.
And thank you, everyone. First order of business, we'll approve the April 27th, 2016 meeting minutes. Motion.
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
Motion by Derek, second by the mayor, to approve the April 27th meeting minutes. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Next item, election of officers. I think you run this. I know it was never, I know it was
You did
never-
last year and
It was
did.
never
the year before.
Okay, so I'll open the floor to nominations for, we've got 3 positions, right? Chair, vice, and secretary. Don't we have secretary
I don't know.
of the
Is this
commission?
chair now?
All right.
Because I don't know who
I
it
think-
is. No.
We-
Just chair and vice?
I think
Yeah.
there's just chair and vice.
Any, open the floor to nominations for chairperson. It's hard when we've got a vacant seat on the commission, I know, and not everybody here. I mean, if we wanted to try for another month, we could postpone. That's an option, I guess.
Mhm.
So I don't know how people feel either way about moving forward with this or with other members, and I'm hopeful that we can fill that spot next meeting. Not to say we'd want to put somebody in an officer position that's not here yet on the commission from a knowledge standpoint, but
Have you been, I've been checking with a couple of people.
yeah, I mean, if one that we talked about said no,
Yeah,
as we
right.
knew, and
Right.
there's some others that are out there.
I think it would be advantageous to hold it over if we could have a better, cross-sectional.
I think we can just table number 3 till the next.
All right. Go ahead, you can I'll make the motion to postpone item 3.
And the mayor has made a motion to postpone item number 3, which is the election of officers for the Park and Recreation Commission for the city of Wisconsin Rapids. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Derek. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? It will be held over till the next meeting. Number 4, request for approval of signal enhancements at Robinson Park.
Okay. I'm not going to claim to be a radio communications expert, but basically what we have is, when we initially started this project for a signal for the cameras, an initial signal test was taken and it showed a fairly strong signal. We got the system in and operating and it was dropping out. And what they found is basically our signal is being overridden because it's strong enough but not as strong as other signals in the area. So what they're telling me is we basically have 3 choices. We can put a taller pole in and try to get better line of sight, which would improve our signal strength and help to override, competing signals, is the word I'm going to use. The problem with that is there's no guarantee, and a pole in installation, you're going to be around that $2,500 mark. And we could be all said and done, and there's a potential of still having communication issues. The second option is to install a wireless radio transmitter. That's basically $3,000. You have you have another item which has potential for failure, lightning strikes, whatever. But from what I've been told, I had Matt Storman and I conversed on this, and it's a good option, but the third option, which would be to install a fiber line into Robinson Park, Matt Storman started the conversation with Wendy Hack, and then between the 3 of us, we were going back and forth. And what that would amount to, they would waive the installation fee. There'd be a $70 a month charge, but then we'd also have the ability to have a Wi-Fi hotspot up there, which at least we'd be getting a multi-use out of the fiber line as opposed to having strictly a dedicated fiber line around the camera system. So $70 per month, like I said, they'd waive the fee for a 3-year contract.
When I was there 2 weeks ago, Blossom Fest on Saturday, I thought, why don't we have park Wi-Fi here? Because there's so many facilities there and, you know, from a large scale event type thing, I think that's a great idea to just do that. I don't know how other people think.
Yeah,
It's nice the one-time cost, but I think there's some value in having that.
I'd agree with that. Especially if you wanna promote that area to other events.
One is that something with, if you had that ability then and you had a Wi-Fi hotspot and they're gonna continue to do these band things up there, I mean, maybe it's something they, you know, could utilize,
Utilize, yeah.
so.
Well, even events, if you can turn the shelter pavilion into something that's a little more weather friendly, you
Mhm.
know, in that,
Mhm.
which is kind of on our radar,
Mhm.
it could be a nice attractor too. Seems like kids are in the park and things, while we want them active in the park, you know, they're gonna be on their devices, you know,
Mhm.
you know, everybody for that matter, not just kids.
Sounds like a good idea.
How much did we invest to this point to get this whole thing working out of time, besides time?
The cameras, the camera installation,
No, but just in the connectivity stuff, like.
Oh.
get those-
the signal strength and all that.
Minuscule.
Yeah, you know, if we've got 6 hours in it, you know, in a bucket truck for a couple hours, we don't have a ton of money invested.
Okay.
The antenna was very inexpensive, you know, that was only, that was like $100 or something like that. And we might be able to utilize that at a different location.
Mm.
You know, if we have better line of sight and a stronger signal, there may be one of the parks where we can just utilize that in that location.
Maybe a lift station or something
Yeah,
else.
yeah,
Maybe other
exactly.
things.
Yep.
And that transmission, where does that go? Into the?
Actually, comes back here to our server, and then it's going to be available real time to the police.
Okay.
And actually, whoever we need, it can be set up on anybody's computer at City Hall. So,
Okay, so then we're looking at, we want to approve an expenditure of how much then for, again?
well, what we'd have to do is sign a contract with Solaris, and the actual cost of the installation, they're gonna waive. And then there'd be a $70 a month fee, and then there might be some hookup fees, which I don't have a firm dollar amount on, but I'm thinking that's gonna be fairly minimal.
Are you thinking out of park outlay, which would require action by the commission, or are you thinking you'd run it through your park operating budget?
I think that this would be outlay,
You'd run
because
it
I,
out of-
yeah, I don't,
For the monthly.
I'd have to look and see where we're at with Tim.
Okay.
I mean, if it was possible to run it out of our number, we could, as far as our standard operating budget. But just knowing what's been going on this year so far, you know,
May have to go the outlay.
yeah, I may have to go out. We had some electrical problems, we've had some issues in different locations that we've been dealing with this year, so.
Came up with 2520 is the total. It's 70 a month.
For 3 years.
For 3 years, for 3 years.
I like maybe the flexibility of pulling out of operating if we've got if Tim has the ability and it makes sense to do that.
Mhm.
But I'm cool with it coming out of outlay too.
You know, we could just, like I said, I can check with him, and if it looks like it's doable, we'll do it, and if not, as long as I know we have that, you know, if everybody's good with that, we can go to the outlay.
So you and Tim will decide that, or talk about?
No, Tim, basically.
Basically, okay.
But we probably want to take action to pursue the Wi-Fi
Yeah.
option.
That's, I guess that's what I'm looking for,
Service
is
from Solaris.
which option, you know, the commission would like me to move forward with, and
Okay, is there a motion on the floor?
I'd make a motion to go ahead with option 3, the fiber line.
second.
Okay, the motion was made by Greg, second by Jim to pursue the request for the Wi-Fi installation at Robinson Park. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, Matt.
Mhm.
We're moving along pretty quickly. Item number 5. Derek, did you take a look at the
I
bill?
did, I make a motion to approve the bills.
Okay, motion by Derek,
I'll second.
second by Greg, to approve the bills for the month. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And we'll move into staff reports. Mary?
We opened up the zoo Memorial Day as scheduled. Had a lot of compliments on the parking lot over there from the patrons that have been coming there, and the numbers compared to last year are really up. We are hosting a coloring contest the month of June, which is almost done, and then month of July, we have our photo contest, and then we have a fun family community event on July 31st. We're having Do at the Zoo. There's a lot of art, tattoo, drawing. We're gonna have a place where families can take photos with pumpkins and hay bales and stuff. We're gonna have hidden Halloween boxes where kids can try to figure out what's inside the boxes relating to the zoo animals, and masquerade where the kids are going to do a costume parade type thing. So a lot of little different variety of events that were gonna happen that day. Programs, as far as all the summer programs, are in full force. And we've changed some enrollment numbers to add kids that have been on waiting lists to accommodate them. And so we had 180 children in the T-ball and pitch ball, and we had a waiting list unfortunately for that, but unfortunately I only have so much space over at Witter Field to provide for more teams. We served 95 children so far in just the June classes, and half of those met full enrollment. And I'll be on vacation next week and then the last week in July, and I am working part-time this summer compared to when I was always working full-time in the summer due to no swimming pool. And I worked in the winter, I covered for Dawn, so I'm actually kind of enjoying my summer this year. It's the first time I've worked part-time.
Okay. Any questions of Mary? Otherwise, thanks for that update. Matt?
We've got our new band shell and open shelter lights installed and operational up at Robinson Park. Just slowly trying to, improve everything up there and get the facilities a little more modernized. We just went through all of our elevator and boiler inspections with the city, so we're working on a few things that need to be done there. Our longtime veterinarian at the zoo retired, so we are now working with Dan Verwink. He was willing to become our zoo veterinarian, and he's done the inspection. We still need to finalize our plan that they're requiring us to have, how to deal with animal escapes or intrusions or whatever. And part of that is PD was looking into getting a tranquilizer gun, and that would be part of our plan. So
You don't have any vicious animals that can get away yet?
you don't, but you still have to have a plan. Like, the lemurs can be, aggressive. And any animal can be in the right situation.
Just
so,
Matt, it's just for you.
Yeah.
You got a bite last year. I remember signing
Yeah.
the safety report.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
It was a bite.
So we're putting that together for APHIS has a new inspector for our area now, and they've kind of ramped up a little bit. So we're trying to stay abreast of that. Playground equipment, same thing. We did all our playground equipment inspections, and one of the changes we're going to make is when those were originally built, a lot of them had a concrete slab at the base of the slides, and then they put a rubber covering over that. And the problem with that is, as soon as you get a week's worth of use, all the sand is pushed away from the corners, so you have exposed, sharp concrete corners on these slabs. So we're going to be removing the slabs and just doing an all sand fill. We've already done a couple, and we're waiting for streets to slow down a little bit so we can get their backhoe to finish the rest of them. Prep work for the 4th of July, that's taken a lot of our time in the last 2 weeks. Doing tree trimming, string trimming, weed killing, trying to get all the areas along the river, looking good. And so that's been an ongoing thing. Grass complaints, obviously this year, again, grass is growing. So that's been busy. We just completed the goose roundup. Successful.
Just in time for the 4th of July.
Just in time for the 4th of July. Couldn't be better time.
Mhm.
Electrical work, Robinson Park.
You missing?
The day before the big band event up there, we lost one whole breaker panel, so there was a big scramble to get temporary power going, and basically what we had is one of the breaker panels wasn't weather tight anymore. It rotted through and all the water ran into the breakers, so putting a new panel in up there, doing some field light repairs at Witter. We're going through all the park benches, the permanent ones, wooden ones along the river, repairing, repainting. Been working on that the last couple days. We painted the sign post for the historical sign down by the clock bell tower, and just trying to get everything, looking good. So that's kind of what we've been up to.
Parks look nice. I see that zoo is really getting a lot of usage.
It is.
It's been
And as-
very,
like
very
like Mary
busy.
said, a lot of people are pretty impressed with the new parking layout.
There's some stuff going on there. They
Yeah.
were parked almost all the way down to my house last week for something. It was amazing. And then,
Zoozort was yesterday. How'd that go?
Good, as far as, yeah,
They
they,
were busy. They're always busy when they have those specials.
yeah.
I mean, they bring in around 400 people.
What do those cost encourage, right? They're the underwriters, aren't they?
Yes, they
Yeah,
are.
that's-
Wants to know, I mean, because it is so well received, are there other programs that we could offer that, beyond those, what they do 4?
Yeah, they do
2 or
4.
something?
They're doing 4 this year.
Yeah,
They did
4.
last-
Typically it was
They did
3.
They usually do 3 and they accidentally booked
They
an
stepped it
extra
up,
one.
yeah.
Oh, nice,
But
okay.
there's a donor that pays for all of those.
Yeah, okay.
I
just
could
think it
easily
be
find
something
out
that
how
Park and
much
Rec
they are
we
from
may wanna
Encourage.
consider.
hmm.
Got some outlay dollars to do some of that programming stuff.
One other thing I was gonna mention too is, if you haven't noticed, we added to the round tables that used to be at the pool down to the Veteran Park area. One's out on the bump out, and then we found space for another one, and we're actually we went down there the other day, found an appropriate spot that's fairly level, and we're gonna pour just a little half slab and then add the third table down there to address some of the seating concerns that people have during lunch by the river.
Always a need for more seating.
Always a
isn't
need
there?
for more seating.
Mhm.
Every summer,
Yep.
every week.
It's busy.
There's a request.
Yep. So,
Did Encourage contact you about the Mayor Memorial and that trail, moving that? I know
No.
Mary Wirtz was working on it before she retired.
Yep.
And she had asked a couple of times about moving it and finding a location. I know you were gonna go out and meet with her.
I did.
Okay, so you
Yeah.
did do that.
We did do that, but
I just know she was trying to wrap that up and.
she wasn't, and part of the, originally, we had talked about incorporating that with improvements at the park, but now I don't know, where in the chronological order that's gonna be, so.
We may want to put that on our next agenda to review that, because we've got capital raised, we've got pledges from the commission, we also have some other donors that have stepped forward to fund some of that, and if we're gonna tie that improvement, I think engineering have been talking about doing that yet this year, so I don't know where in a construction season it might fit, but there's a gap, so we might want to use that time, some of that time for this project.
And-
It's not the full-on improvement, but
Right,
it's
that's what I
just
was-
a piece of it, it's the picnic grove, and it's the, maybe that's performance stage flat,
Okay.
just the slab, I guess, at the end of by the wall, and moving the.
Because that would be the time to move the
Yeah.
memorial, yeah.
Is that kind of what that leadership group was?
Exactly.
working? Okay.
Yep, in
All
fact,
right.
their dollars are still there, and they were working on checking to make sure the pledges are still secured, which they were. I think everybody is still in with their commitments. And some of the donors were getting antsy because they committed dollars, like Bullseye,
Sure.
Credit Union, and others, to get that done. So maybe in our next.
So that is on the radar for
This year.
engineering and construction.
Yeah, this year.
Okay.
But I don't know about the construction, I don't know where that ended up on the schedule, if at all, so it might be
Okay.
something you want to talk to Joe about, either Joe's.
Okay.
How was Kids Day in the park?
Oh,
How'd
it was
that go?
great. Yeah, we had 30 kids and parents and families, I guess I would say. The library stepped up to do some activity, and so the Mayor's Youth Council planned a day in the park as an afternoon. It was like 1:30 to 3 on the day, or 3:30 on the day of the music festival at Robinson Park. And it was great. I played 2 games of kickball. And it was really low key guerrilla kind of an event. I mean, they bootstrapped it. They didn't spend really any money doing it, but they made videos on Facebook to promote it. Channel 7 came down, did a feature on it. Yeah, it turned out really cool. So we played some kickball. Alderperson Hep made a cameo appearance in the kickball game, and it was like big kids versus little kids. I don't know how we split up teams, but something like that. And then Paul Shagolsky, our new city clerk, was also on the committee, and he participated. But it was good. It turned out really well.
Good.
It goes to show that kids love to come and so they did a scavenger hunt. They made binoculars out of like paper, and it was actually turned out really cool. And it was mostly, I would say, 12 and younger. But the Mayor's Youth Council is high school students that planned it and volunteered their time. And businesses donated, and I think Ocean Spray donated a ton of cran and grape juice, and Water Light donated water, and what else did we have? Yeah, those were the events. So.
Oh, good. Thank
I
you.
plan on doing it again next year.
Okay, I'd like to be involved with that
Yeah,
next year.
yeah. Appreciate the help with the bases and the
Mhm,
balls.
no problem.
I don't know if we'll do it on Blossom Fest. It worked really well at the festival
With
that
the
happened
fest.
because the parents were able to go.
Everybody's
and-
already there, you've already
Exactly.
got
Yeah.
an audience to see.
And I'm surprised the number of kids that just come through their bike in without supervision, and
It's
young kids
It's
at
a
that park. I
busy,
mean,
well, there's a lot of young families around
Yeah.
Robinson Park.
The kids were ecstatic. They,
Mhm.
a lot of fun.
Good.
Definitely keep in the loop as they get planning for next year.
Mhm.
Maybe that might happen. It's kind of sort of last minute, so we were pretty
Mhm.
pleased with it.
Great, and then I see the radio's been letting the public know about chairs and blankets and things not on the riverbank until
Yeah.
6
They
o'clock.
called to make sure they had that.
Yeah, there was
Right.
there was a.
This year's
Mhm.
especially, you know, with the 4th being on Monday, we have to have everything done Friday, and you have a 3-day period in there where, you know, so our people will be in for their normal weekend bathroom cleaning and whatnot, and I'll probably have them just check and just make sure that there's not a bunch of stuff out there, you know, early, but if it's warm and dry and you have that grass covered up for 3 days or the tarp, you know,
It's gone.
you're gonna have issues, yeah.
And the parks, I mean, veterans obviously looks really, really nice.
Yeah. You know, we've worked hard to get it where it's at, and I don't wanna.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, good. Any other questions of Matthew? Not? Thank you for that report. And that moves us to number 7, adjournment.
I'll make motion to adjourn.
Motion by Alderman Hep,
Second.
second by Derek to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you, everyone, and everyone have a good night. Public hearings at